My name's Daryl Borma. I work for the Seattle Department of Transportation, and I'm an outreach lead for the Denny Way project and also the Rapid Ride J-Line project, which I'll mention a little bit later on, and a few other projects in this area. Um, I'm going to walk us through our presentation tonight. I'm joined here by Bill Clark, who's the project manager. Bill is going to be answering questions. What we're going to do is ask for people to put questions into our chat, and I'll explain that in one moment. So we're also joined here by our communications team that's supporting the efforts tonight. They'll be collecting questions from the audience and delivering them to us to answer later on. And we're also joined by various partners from other agencies such as King County Metro and Department of Neighborhood, and some of our colleagues here at SDOT are also joining us. So thanks for everyone who could make it here. I'm kind of stalling a little bit to let a few more people join. I can see the numbers going up slightly. But tonight's agenda, we're going to go for our vision, mission, values, and goals, because we always do that during our presentations, just to center ourselves about why we do our projects and what's important to us. We will work through our scope and schedule of the Denny Way Paving Project. We'll talk about construction considerations. We'll talk about the impacts of our construction. We'll talk about what's coming next in terms of this project. And then the all-important part, which I think is most important to everyone that comes here, is the opportunity for you to ask your questions and for us to answer them, and for us to take feedback. Obviously, a project of this size, there's always something we may not know about. So we always like to hear feedback in these outreach meetings, and it's useful to us as we conduct our construction. So I'm showing this PowerPoint presentation during the meeting. Obviously, to see this presentation, it's much easier if you're at your computer. You can see it on your phone too, or you can just listen in via a phone. The reason I say that is we also have added this to our Denny Way Paving Project website, and you can download it at your leisure at any point. And also, after this meeting, we'll share a recording of this presentation. So if you missed anything or you want to share it with members of your community, you can do so. There'll be a link. You can just share it out and they can watch it whenever they want. And then we'll also make a commitment that when we collect all the questions tonight that we get, we'll try to answer them all. But there's always, I would say there's normally always something that we can't always immediately answer, but we can certainly find out the answer if that's the case. But we'll put all the answers online. We'll collect them. We'll put the questions and the answers into a PDF. It will be downloadable. We'll translate it into various languages so that it's accessible to everyone. And then we'll share it online in the coming days, along with the video presentation. And we'll also, like I said, we'll post a recording. So just to familiarize yourselves a little bit with how Zoom works, as it's a different format, and to some of the meetings we have a chat function. So at the bottom of your screen, you're going to see a chat. I can see someone's already using that. But down here, you can click on chat. It'll open up the chat window. And here is where we're going to ask people to type in their questions. You can do it now. You can do it at any point during this presentation. You can do it at the end. We can hang out at the end. You can keep typing questions. But as they come up, we prefer that people type them in. This allows us to just work through the presentation. When people are jumping in and out during the conversation, it gets a bit tricky. Some people, they don't unmute themselves or they don't mute themselves, and it just makes it harder for us to get through the presentation. So this is an easier format. We will get to all the questions, and there's also an option to click on the captioning. I'll try and talk slowly and clearly throughout, but if perhaps English isn't a first language, if you click on this captioning button down the bottom of the screen, you have a choice of more than 20 languages that will come up on your screen and provide captioning throughout. And like I said, I will try and talk slowly and clearly so that function works. But we're going to keep people muted throughout. No disrespect to anyone, but we just want to get through the presentation, and you can add your questions during the chat throughout, and we'll get to those at the end. Like I said, we will do a recap of our vision, mission, values. Obviously, we're a thriving equitable community. It's important, just like I mentioned, in terms of captioning and providing access to everyone. We want to provide dependable transportation. We're on a mission to deliver a transportation system that provides safe and affordable access to places and opportunities. And our values and goals are equity, safety, mobility, sustainability, livability, and excellence. Now, the purpose of this meeting tonight is to share an overview of the Denny Way Paving Project, explain it to business owners or neighbors or whomever has joined the meeting tonight, and to provide an opportunity for you to ask questions. And for us, in return, to gather information that might be useful to the project. We'll give details about how to stay updated. So this is like the beginning of the conversation. We want to provide an avenue for you to continue that conversation. And if you don't ask questions tonight, we want to make it easy so that you can ask questions throughout. And we'll show you how to sign up for our emails and such later on. I like to be very visual in what this project's about, because when we talk about a paving project, it doesn't just necessarily mean paving. So a simple graphic like this is sometimes useful. We are doing 12 blocks of asphalt paving. It's going to be from just east of 5th all the way to I-5 almost. And we are going to be putting in some additional elements as we work our way through. So 28 no turn on red signs, some new curb ramps there. You'll see 8 new curb ramps, 1,100 square feet of new or improved sidewalk work. We're going to be putting in curb bulbs. 4 of those will be paint and post curb bulbs. So that's the plastic post that you'll see and just paint. One of those is plastic curb, which is a bit more rigid, and posts. And then 3 of those are concrete curb bulbs. So there's a variation on the curb bulbs, but they're also part of this project. So why are we doing this paving project at this time? We pave arterial streets that are in poor condition throughout the city to make them safer, smoother, and to extend their useful life. We call them AAC, asphalt and concrete projects, and we do several of these each year. We're just completing one up just north of the U District on 11th and Roosevelt. That's a typical example of this kind of project. And we're also doing one in Ballard on 15th Avenue Northwest, which is another one very similar to this, where we grind off the surface of the road, the top 2 or 3 inches, and we replace it with fresh, new, smooth asphalt. And as we work our way along, we can make some improvements that are triggered by this kind of work. So curb ramps, updating those to make them accessible and ADA compliant, and doing some drainage as we work our way along, and sidewalks, and some other small components that we do alongside AAC projects. In some locations, we will be going a bit deeper and putting in concrete or other bases to support like buses at bus stops. That's very typical of an AAC project. So that's often the work you might see first, as we all do the deepest stuff first. So there'll be some concrete, and then we'll be grinding off the asphalt and replacing that with smooth, fresh asphalt, and then finishing off with paint and all the markings that you typically see on your road. The reason we're doing this is to keep our transportation system in a state of good repair. It lowers the cost of future maintenance. As a road deteriorates, it's actually more expensive to keep fixing it and to be potholing it than it is to just replace the entire stretch of asphalt. So that's important. It is a maintenance project. It is a means to reduce costs and to keep our roads moving. And it's also, as we all know, it's a critical piece of downtown Seattle's arterial network. So here is a map of the project extent. Now, I understand this is small. It's also downloadable on our project website, which is Denny Paving. If you look up SDOT Denny Paving, you'll find it, but we have a link to that later on. And I've also broken this map into 2 sections so that we can see it a bit more clearly, but you can see we're starting our work just west of Taylor, and we're making our way across. You'll see this part of it is to Westlake. I'll show you the second half in 1 second. We understand that Denny Way is a major freight route. We understand that it's a frequent transit network. We understand that between 24 and 29,000 people are using this road uh, on a daily basis. We understand it's a principal arterial, and we understand that there's some very irregular and complex intersections that we'll be working our way through as we do this project. The call out boxes here are just showing you where we're doing various elements. There is some bus stop consolidation here, and we'll speak to that in a short moment. But you can see where we're doing curb bulbs. You can see where we're adding the no turn on red signs to make it a little bit more safer for pedestrians and more predictable. And you can see here where we're doing full depth pavement to support bus stops and areas around bus shelters. And there's some landscaping work. And then the second part of the map just comes over from Westlake and goes all the way across to Yale and Stewart. And we obviously know that on Yale, a lot of people are taking that road as well. And we're also very cognizant of the fact that there's a lot of stuff going on at the same time. It's no surprise to us that we have WASDOT that's working on our I-5 in a northerly direction at the same time as this project is happening. We are also doing a project on Harrison Street. It's not in construction for a while, and it won't conflict with this project, but we are looking at a transit corridor. And we're also working on the rapid ride J line, so we understand that we do have traffic on Eastlake Avenue at the same time, and it's kind of busy there. And we're also doing some work on Fremont and starting that work very shortly. So we understand that there's a lot of SDOT work, there's a lot of WSDOT work, and we also understand there's a lot of private development going on at the same time as Amazon and other businesses are going back to work more full time. So we know there's a lot more people coming in this area, and we have given that a great deal of thought. And I'll speak to some of that in a moment. So just to reiterate, grind and pave, you'll hear various phrases for what this project is, but basically a large machine will come along and grind off the top 2 or 3 inches. It'll be noisy, dusty, but we will then replace. I'm hearing someone's. Oh, there we go. So we will replace it with new asphalt. That takes time to cure, so you'll see some temporary markings while that happens, and then at the end of that, we'll repaint the lanes and finish up the stripings of markings. We'll do some drainage upgrades if needed. You'll see some pedestrian improvements. We'll be hardening center lines and reinforcing existing turn restrictions. Like I said, there'll be some sidewalk improvements and intermittent sidewalk repair and replacement work. There'll be some bus stop consolidation, which will improve transit time and reliability. And I'll speak to that in one moment. And there'll be some additional measures. Like I said, there's new signage to reinforce the turning restrictions, such as the no turn on red signs. We'll be putting in stop bars to make that more obvious. So the white paint that really shows people where they should be stopping and then looking up to see the no turn on reds. And we'll be doing the rebuilt curb ramps and curb bulbs, which will not only make it a bit safer for people crossing by shortening crossing distances, but also reinforce some of those turning restrictions. So we started the project a few years ago. Obviously, it's been in design for a while, and we're expecting construction to start in the coming months. We do not have a solid date for that right now. We are working to finalize a contract with our construction team that's coming on board. And as that happens, we will get a date for construction to start. We do anticipate in the coming months. And we probably would anticipate work starting on some of that deeper elements, so concrete, perhaps sidewalks, curb bulbs, if we can. We do need to wait for better weather to do the asphalt so it cures properly. So, and Bill might even speak to some of that later, or he can jump in at any point. But some of the asphalt work requires warmer temperatures, so we do need to coincide our work with that. And we do expect to finish this project this year. It will be later on in this year, but we do expect to be completed in the fall of 2025. So with all this being said, we have, like I said, we've been given a great deal of thought to how we construct this project. and we obviously want to minimize disruptions. So we've implemented several measures. Work is primarily going to take place at night. This is to reduce the impacts on daily activities and to make it easier to access businesses. Obviously, when we do a project of this nature, one of the concerns from the business community is that we're closing driveways, we're taking away load zones, and we're making it difficult for pedestrians to move about when we're constructing the road because of the dust, noise, vibrations, and machinery moving around. So working in the evening is a way that we can mitigate some of those concerns. Obviously, later on in the summer when it's warmer and people want to open their windows and we're working outside, we understand that that can also be a burden. We do have things called noise variances, and we will notify apartment owners and people living in apartments and businesses when we are working in various segments and try to keep ahead of all that. But to mitigate the traffic in the daytime as much as possible, we're going to do as much as we can at night and weekends so that we don't cause more chaos during the day. We are going to avoid, we're going to make every effort to avoid detours. We have no planned detours on the project at this time. We are going to try and keep 2 lanes of traffic open, 1 in each direction throughout. And we'll have various, and obviously these details are not finalized until we get a contractor on board, but we'll have various stages of construction. We are asking our construction team to work on the westerly side of the project because we understand with the work on I-5 happening in a northbound direction that people may choose to head up SR 99. So we figure that if we get our work done in and around that area earlier, then people that are trying to take that option will have a smooth road and we won't be in their way. So one of the mitigations for the additional impact of more people coming back to work and the I-5 work is to try and clear ourselves out of the way so that people can take alternative routes. And also, just because we've heard the concerns about the Route 8 bus, we will be talking with our construction team once they're on board and seeing if we can prioritize buses as they move through our traffic. So obviously, if we have just 1 lane in each way and we have flaggers flagging traffic through certain areas, if we see a bus, we are going to try and encourage our flaggers to encourage that bus to come through and not stop and hold it up for 2 or 3 minutes while something construction related is happening. So we will make every effort to remind our team of things like that. And we're hearing that from the constituents such as yourselves. And we appreciate that feedback because it helps us shape the project and be mindful of people's concerns. Like I said, some of the construction considerations are obviously the Revive I-5 project, which is happening. I think the first closures are February, at the end of February, as they start their work on the northern approach on the east side of I-5 heading north. We are communicating and coordinating closely with major employees. This includes Amazon and various other employees in the area. We'll do our best, like I said, to work at night and reduce our traffic and our impact on traffic during the day. Obviously, even though we won't be working as much during the day, there still will be impacts. There'll be lane closures or areas that'll be ground down, and it'll be people will be driving more slowly through those areas as they transition from existing road to a ground surface and back up again. And also we're working with various teams at SDOT and our partners to encourage people to adopt different habits during this time. So obviously encouraging commuters to create new travel habits, varying their work schedules, taking transit, biking, scooting, or working. We have various measures that we have, and we're reaching out to employers so we can offer staff and the benefits of unlimited transit and van pool access via Orca and business passports. So we're working with our colleagues in various departments to raise awareness of options during this time, and also to employees to visit our Flip Your Trip resource on SDOT's website and learn about other ways which you can access work during this time. And we have our team members that will be helping to support those efforts. So I wanted to just really sort of bring home some of the impacts and perhaps speak to some of the solutions that we will employ during those. So there will be lane reductions, um, and there will be areas of work. They may be non-concurrent, so you may see one area of work in one part of the site and then another 1,000 yards along. And we may be snaking people in and out of those areas and shifting people from one side of the road to the other as we get one side done and then come back and do the other side of the road. We tend to break a road into segments so that we do one side of it first and then shift over to the other side. So as we're working one side, we'll be shifting traffic over to the other. We will have flaggers or uniformed police officers directing traffic and supporting those efforts. There will be some sidewalk closures as we repair sidewalks and make it more accessible. And there will also be some pedestrian detours associated with that. So we'll ask people to watch out for those. They'll be clearly marked. So there may be some areas. I know that around Denny Park on the north side, we'll be doing some more dramatic, I guess, sidewalk work. That seems to be the whole stretch there. And we'll just shift people over to the south side and they'll walk down that one block and then cross back over. You'll see construction noise, you'll hear construction noise, you'll see the dust, and there'll be smell and vibrations. The smell obviously is worth mentioning. Like I said, it's going to be in the summer, it'll be at nighttime. Maybe people will have their windows open. So I just will remind people that when we're doing asphalt, you may anticipate some of the smells and you'll have some of the dust. And I know that some people like to open their windows in the summer, but we'll remind people that as we're in their particular sections, that maybe for a night or two, it might be worthwhile closing that window and keeping the noise and smell and dust out. There might be some temporary intersection and potential short-term driveway closures. Like I said, working at night makes it easier for business deliveries. It makes it easier for people to access businesses during the day. We don't anticipate looking at the project that there should be too many closures of driveways. There are various access points off of other roads for many businesses, and we will work one-on-one with businesses. As we bring our construction team on board, we will collaborate with them. We'll take a look at individual cases, and then we will work with those individual cases one-on-one. So this is, like I said, this is a starting point as we make our way through this project, get a sense of what the schedule is and where we'll be and when. We will reach out to businesses, raise awareness of what's happening, visit one-on-one, talk people through any concerns. So there'll be concerns with loading, there'll be concerns with access, pickup, drop off, Amazon, UPS, you name it. We'll try to mitigate that as much as possible. But I think working at night is going to go a long way to making that a lot easier for business owners. So there will be some parking. Obviously, we're taking the road down to one lane in each direction. That will remove parking in some places throughout the day. Like I said, we're working at night, 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. is our typical work hours overnight. If needed, perhaps for intersections and other work, we may work weekends. We do anticipate maintaining business access. There might be a period overnight where 1 or 2 hours you may lose access, but like I said, we'll work one-on-one with businesses as we work our way through that, and we'll do our best to mitigate everything we can. And like I said, we'll provide advanced notification of those impacts. So what's next? We are going to post this presentation and materials to our website. We're going to encourage everyone here to sign up for our emails. As we move into construction, we'll start holding stakeholder briefings. We'll reach out to community members and continue the conversation moving forward. We've already had a couple of people that are in this meeting that represent large organizations or community groups that are inviting us back to walk through some of these impacts. But as a project during construction, we update our website weekly to provide information about where we'll be, what's going on. We'll issue an email weekly, normally on a Thursday or Friday, depending on when our construction meetings are. So we encourage people to sign up for those so that we can provide information. Our partners on King County Metro will be working with rider alerts. So if there's any changes to bus stops, any changes to schedule, they'll be the go-to group that'll reach out to their transit riders to share information about that. You'll see changes on bus stops and shelters, posters advising people of closures or temporary movement of bus stops. And like I said, we'll do online meetings. We can continue to do open houses during construction. So perhaps 1 hour a week, we'll have an open house where people can drop in and ask questions. We're doing that on J-Line. I've done it on other projects. So maybe like a lunchtime or a 1 p.m. time once a week. And we just wait around for an hour, and anyone that has a concern question can drop by and ask us questions. So we can do one-on-one, we can visit people, or we can do it online. Questions and comments, we have an email address, which is pretty easy to remember, which is dennyway@seattle.gov. We have a website, seattle.gov, transportation, Denny Way Paving, but you can simply search for Denny Way Paving on SDOT's website on Google, and you'll find it. And our phone number is 206-257-2243. So that's 206-257-2243, where you can reach out to our outreach staff who are here today. We have our transportation options, like I mentioned, our partnership within SDOT supporting other means of transportation. So you can reach out to this contact detail and they can help. But for me, I think right now, I'm going to sign off by saying thank you.